I don't necessarily think you're just beating a Fed case like that.
With serious federal charges looming over Lil Durk, fans everywhere are asking the same question. What's his next move? And what does the future hold for the rapper?
A 80-year sentence plus life, you're not making it.
It seems like Lil Durk's been thinking ahead, because word on the street is he might have just pulled an El Chapo-style move. So, what exactly happened? And what could this mean for his future, both behind bars and beyond? Let's start with where Lil Durk is currently being held, the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Los Angeles. But this isn't your average prison. MDC is a high-security federal detention facility that houses pretrial inmates and individuals considered high risk. Instead of traditional cells, the facility has sealed rooms with plate glass windows, making it feel more like a high-security hotel you can never leave. Durk's been locked up here since his extradition from Florida in November 2024. And according to reports, he's been finding unexpected ways to adapt to his new reality. In a surprising turn, Durk has doubled down on his Islamic faith. He's spending much of his time in prayer and studying Arabic, often with the help of fellow inmates fluent in the language. Sources say this spiritual journey has become his lifeline. In fact, it's been so transformative that he's reportedly guided 13 other inmates to convert to Islam during his time at MDC. This marks a major shift for a rapper once known for his gritty street image and violent lyrics. Now, he's using his time in confinement to grow spiritually and lead others toward faith. His father, Dante Banks, even confirmed in an interview on April 18, 2025, that Durk's dedication to Islam has brought him peace, despite the looming threat of a life sentence or possibly even the death penalty. But not everything has gone smoothly. Durk has had issues with prison rules. Allegations surfaced during his December 2024 detention hearing that he participated in unauthorized three-way phone calls, an infraction prosecutors used to argue he couldn't be trusted with pretrial release. Still, despite the setbacks, Durk has managed to maintain communication with the outside world through strictly monitored channels. His most notable recent contact came on April 28, 2025, during a phone call with DJ Academics, where, in a moment that caught everyone's attention, Durk sounded surprisingly calm, hopeful, and focused on the future.
I've been good, man. Mentally, spiritually. I've been on top of my. I'll be back out there, you hear me?
Man, we can't wait, bro. We've been praying for you.
No, thank you. No, I need all the prayers. I appreciate you. I was telling them, I was like, I think.
What's striking is Durk's unwavering confidence, especially considering the seriousness of his situation. He's facing federal murder-for-hire charges that could land him a life sentence. Most people in his position would be paralyzed by fear, drowning in anxiety. But not Durk. Instead, he's using the adversity to fuel personal growth. He's anchored himself in faith and continues to hold on to hope for what lies ahead. And remarkably, jail hasn't stopped his music. While still behind bars, Durk released his 9th studio album, Deep Thoughts, on March 28, 2025. Despite his incarceration, the project debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200, a huge feat. The album features heavy hitters like Future, Lil Baby, Hung, and Jane Aiko, proving that Durk's influence reaches far beyond prison walls. Even more surprising? During his call with DJ Academics, Durk revealed that he hasn't even listened to the full album himself.
But they was keeping me updated, but I ain't heard nothing. This is like a box of hell. We don't get no news, no talk, no nothing. If you don't call or somebody send it to you on the computer, it's a wrap.
This one statement reveals the harsh isolation of federal detention. Even for someone as successful as Lil Durk, the prison walls cut him off from the world he once ruled. Producers working on his latest album were forced to collaborate with him solely through phone calls, sending beats, discussing creative direction, and navigating the entire artistic process remotely. The album cover, featuring Durk in a graffiti-covered jail cell, and a mini-documentary released alongside the project, offer rare insight into how incarcerated artists adapt their craft. But while the music plays on, so does the legal battle. Durk's legal team is mounting an aggressive defense, led by high-profile attorneys Drew Finling and Jonathan Braymond. They've filed motions to dismiss the superseding indictment. Their argument? That prosecutors misled the grand jury and relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. One major focus, the prosecution's use of Durk's song lyrics as supposed evidence. lyrics that his team argues were written well before any alleged crimes occurred and have no real connection to the case. But the strategy doesn't end there. Durk's team is preparing for a crucial bond hearing set for May 8, 2025. They're coming in strong with an enhanced bail package that includes $900,000 in real estate assets, $1 million in cash from Alamo Records, $150,000 from a business associate, full-time private security, and electronic monitoring. This far exceeds the original $3 million offer rejected in December 2024, when Judge Patricia Donahue cited Durk's considerable resources and flight risk as grounds for keeping him detained, and timing is everything. With the trial now postponed until October 14, 2025, Durk could remain locked up for over a year before he even sees a courtroom. His lawyers argue that such extended pretrial detention is unjust, especially given the circumstantial nature of the evidence. But the federal case isn't the only storm brewing. Durk is also entangled in civil lawsuits. 2 wrongful death claims, one from Andrea Laquila Robinson, the mother of Sava Robinson, and another from FBG Duck's mother, loom over him. Even if he manages to beat the criminal charges, these civil cases, which require a lower standard of proof, could still cripple him. Financially, Andrea Robinson's lawsuit echoes the federal allegations, claiming her son was murdered in a targeted hit orchestrated by Durk. Similarly, the FBG Duck case accuses Durk of being involved in a broader pattern of violence, including allegedly placing a $100,000 bounty on Duck's head, a move that led to his fatal shooting in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast area. Through it all, Durk's family has stood firmly by his side. His son, Zayden Banks, issued a heartfelt statement in October 2024, highlighting Durk's charitable work through his foundation, Neighborhood Heroes, and describing him as a devoted father. In April 2025, the family doubled down, releasing another statement accusing the government of presenting false evidence and once again criticizing the use of rap lyrics in court. This has sparked a much larger debate in American culture. Should rap lyrics be used as evidence in criminal trials? Durk's family and legal team say no. They argue that lyrics are a form of artistic expression, protected under the First Amendment, not blueprints for real-world crimes. That debate may play a central role in the trial. Still, despite maintaining a strong public image and releasing new music from behind bars, Durk's reality remains grim. Federal prosecutors claim to have built an airtight case, one backed by 230 gigabytes of digital evidence, wiretap recordings, and testimony from multiple informants. This isn't a typical case. It's a sweeping federal takedown targeting one of hip-hop's biggest names. The stakes couldn't be higher. If convicted, Durk faces life in prison, and some legal experts believe the government might even pursue the death penalty due to the severity of the charges. It's a staggering fall for a man who rose from the violent streets of Chicago to Grammy-nominated fame. And yet, inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, Durk is trying to find peace. His conversion to Islam has given him a spiritual foundation and a sense of community, even in prison. His continued musical output shows that his creative fire hasn't dimmed. But whether this mindset can carry him through the trial of a lifetime, that remains the ultimate question. Because the road that took Lil Durk from the streets has now led him to a courtroom that could decide the rest of his life.
He's locked up. Got the whole mugshot. No.
Durk Derek Banks, better known as Lil Durk, rose from the unforgiving streets of Chicago's drill scene to become a global hip-hop superstar. He's collaborated with giants like Drake, Future, and J. Cole, turning raw street poetry into platinum records and sold-out tours. But while Durk was dominating the charts, federal investigators were quietly building a case they claim is airtight, one that could destroy everything he built. The drama reached a boiling point on October 24, 2024. U.S. Marshals arrested Durk at Miami International Airport. But this wasn't just a routine arrest. This was cinematic. According to investigators, Durk had booked not one, but 3 separate escape routes: a private jet to Italy, a commercial flight to Switzerland via New Jersey, and a 3rd ticket to Dubai via Qatar, all scheduled for the same day. To federal agents, this was no coincidence. It looked like a desperate, calculated move to flee justice. So what was he allegedly running from? On November 8, 2024, federal prosecutors dropped bombshell charges. Conspiracy to commit murder for hire, use of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and using firearms in furtherance of a violent crime resulting in death. The indictment centers on what authorities describe as a revenge plot tied to the 2020 killing of Durk's close friend, King Von. The government claims Durk targeted rival rapper Quando Rondo, allegedly placing a bounty on his head and offering label opportunities to anyone who carried out the hit. Prosecutors allege that 5 men, Kevin Cuz Grant, DeAndre, Diddy Wilson, Keith Flocka Jones, David Brown Eyes Lindsay, and Asa F. Boogie Houston, took the contract. According to the indictment, Durk financed the operation. On August 18, 2022, the crew flew to California, rented luxury cars, bought ski masks, and acquired weapons, including a fully automatic machine gun. Then came August 19th. The group tracked Quando Rondo and his cousin, Lil Pab, across Los Angeles in a black Cadillac Escalade. When the target stopped at a gas station near the Beverly Center, the shooters opened fire. At least 18 shots rang out in what witnesses described as a surgical execution-style ambush. Lil Pab was fatally wounded. Quando Rondo survived. Durk's alleged motive: vengeance for King Von. But the aftermath triggered something far greater, a federal investigation that would shake the core of his empire. The government's case is built on layers of digital evidence. A credit card linked to Durk's team used to pay for flights and hotels, GPS tracking from the rented vehicles, and even surveillance footage showing the suspects shadowing their targets before the hit. It reads like a high-stakes crime thriller, only this one's real. Durk was arraigned in Los Angeles on November 14, 2024. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. His legal team, led by high-profile defense attorney Drew Findling, moved quickly to secure his release. They presented a bond package totaling more than $3.3 million, including equity from Georgia properties, $1 million in cash from Sony Music, 24/7 private security, and electronic monitoring. But Judge Patricia Donahue wasn't convinced. She denied the request on December 12, 2024, citing Durk's financial resources and his alleged escape plans as clear indicators of flight risk, and the situation only grew worse. Prosecutors claimed Durk violated detention rules at MDC Los Angeles by participating in unauthorized three-way phone calls, a red flag that not only jeopardized his bail bid, but also painted a picture of someone unwilling to follow rules even behind bars. Then came another shock. During a December 2024 hearing, prosecutors linked Durk to a second murder-for-hire plot. This time, the alleged victim was Stefan Mack, a reputed leader of the Gangster Disciples Smashville faction in Chicago. Mack was gunned down outside a youth center in January 2022. An unsealed FBI affidavit from 2023 alleges Durk ordered the hit as retaliation for the killing of his brother, Dante, OTF Dethang Banks, in 2021. Investigators cited texts and social media posts referencing payment for the murder. Though no charges have been filed in this case, prosecutors used the affidavit to argue Durk poses a broader, ongoing threat to the community. And that wasn't all. Durk was also accused of offering money for additional hits, including one allegedly targeting the family member of a potential witness. The details remain vague, but the implication was chilling. Durk wasn't just retaliating. He was, in the government's eyes, running a pattern of organized violence. Alongside the criminal cases, Durk faces multiple civil lawsuits that threaten his finances and reputation. On February 24, 2025, Andrea Lakila Robinson, the mother of Sava Robinson, killed in the alleged LA hit, filed a wrongful death lawsuit in Chicago, naming Durk, his business manager F, and affiliated companies. The suit claims Durk orchestrated her son's targeted murder. Meanwhile, FBG Duck's mother filed a separate wrongful death suit in October 2024, alleging Durk and others coordinated a violent campaign that included placing a $100,000 bounty on Duck's head. That bounty, she says, led to her son's assassination in Chicago's Gold Coast in August 2020. Despite all of this, arrests, indictments, hearings, and headlines, Durk has kept creating. On March 28, 2025, while still locked up, he released his 9th studio album, Deep Thoughts, featuring big names like Future, Lil Baby, Hung, and Jhené Aiko. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200. His fans are still with him, but the streets are whispering. Rumors are swirling about informants in Durk's circle. In the streets, snitching is the ultimate betrayal. And the word is, someone close to Durk might have flipped, possibly even wearing a wire. The kind of inside cooperation that helps build the kind of case the feds are now wielding against him. This isn't just about one hit. It's about years of surveillance. Hundreds of gigabytes of wiretaps, surveillance videos, financial records, and message logs. All part of a takedown operation with one target, Lil Durk. From Chicago's drill movement to Beverly Hills shootouts, and now federal prison, this is a fall from grace like few others. But is it the end? Or just the beginning of the final battle? That remains to be seen.
Wiretaps, recordings, and all that, like, he was in too deep with a J. Reed.
According to newly unsealed court documents, federal prosecutors have assembled a staggering 230 gigabytes of digital evidence against Lil Durk and his co-defendants. And no, that's not a typo. We're talking about audio recordings, surveillance, footage, and over 20,000 pages of documents outlining a series of alleged violent crimes. It's this mountain of evidence that forced Durk's trial, originally set for January 7th, 2025, to be postponed to October 14th, 2025. Both the prosecution and defense acknowledged that the complexity and scope of this case required far more time to prepare. But let's get into what's really lighting up the streets: the snitching allegations. Two names have been circulating nonstop: Jam and Brick Baby. Rumors online and in street circles suggest these two may have secretly cooperated with federal authorities, offering up testimony or recordings that could be devastating to Durk's defense. And what makes it all so explosive is that, if true, this betrayal might have been happening for years, right under Durk's nose. Let's start with Jam. Once seen as part of Durk's tight inner circle, Jam is now being accused of being a long-time federal informant. Multiple sources claim he began cooperating with the feds as early as March 2023, about a year before Durk's arrest. That timing lines up with the feds' claim that they've collected evidence spanning numerous alleged criminal operations in different states. If Jam was indeed wearing a wire or feeding information during that period, it would explain how prosecutors were able to build such a detailed multi-state case. What's worse, Jam likely had deep access to F's operations, financial records, conversations, and even strategic planning. That kind of insider intel can dismantle an entire organization from within. Then there's Brick Baby, whose case is even more puzzling. During an interview on Vlad TV, Brick Baby offered suspiciously specific critiques about the alleged murder-for-hire plot targeting Quando Rondo. He questioned why out-of-town shooters were used instead of local ones, and even pointed out how things like hotel bookings and ski mask purchases made the operation easy to trace. But how did he know so much? The level of detail in his comments has sparked serious speculation. Was it just speculation? Or was Brick Baby privy to inside knowledge that only someone close to the situation or cooperating with law enforcement would know? Things only get more serious with the introduction of a cell plant tactic, a common federal move where an informant is deliberately placed inside a jail cell to eavesdrop on suspects. In this case, an inmate identified as AJ, arrested for possession of a stolen vehicle linked to a murder, was reportedly held at the Illinois River Correctional Center. The FBI allegedly placed an informant in AJ's cell, and what followed could be one of the most damaging pieces of evidence in the case. According to reports, AJ spilled everything, from planning the hit on Stefan Mack to the payment structure, allegedly orchestrated by Durk himself. The recordings allegedly include specifics about how money was transferred, how weapons were acquired, and even the involvement of other players. If verified, these tapes could directly link Durk to the execution and financing of targeted killings. And the chain reaction didn't stop there. Sources say that after AJ's arrest, federal authorities used his cooperation to pressure others in Durk's circle to flip. And apparently, it worked. Prosecutors claim to have secured multiple cooperating witnesses, all offering detailed accounts of Durk's alleged criminal activities. But here's the twist. Durk may have known betrayal was coming. According to street sources, Durk was not caught off guard. In fact, some say he expected arrests to be made at his birthday concert in Chicago, which could explain the multi-country escape plan he allegedly had in place before being arrested in Miami. Even more devastating is the wiretap evidence. Court documents suggest that the feds have recordings that directly implicate Durk, capturing him discussing financial transactions tied to murder plots. In one particular recording, he allegedly advises an associate, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with sick me." The implication? A clear attempt to avoid creating a paper trail. This, combined with digital evidence like credit, card transactions, GPS data, and surveillance footage, paints a deeply incriminating picture. Prosecutors claim they've traced an F-linked credit card used for booking flights, hotels, and even purchasing equipment related to the alleged Quando Rondo hit. All of this creates a sprawling web of direct and circumstantial evidence that could prove incredibly difficult for Durk's legal team to unravel, and the ripple effects go far beyond the courtroom. In street culture, snitching is a death sentence, socially, if not literally. For an artist like Lil Durk, whose career is built on street credibility and authenticity, even being surrounded by informants, let alone implicated in violent conspiracies, can cause irreversible damage to his reputation. And this case highlights another federal tactic: psychological warfare. By leaking select details and encouraging rumors of informants, the government can create paranoia and distrust inside criminal organizations, pressuring others to flip before their associates do. It's a mind game, and it's deadly effective. The street code is clear: never snitch. But the reality of facing decades in prison or a life sentence has led even the most loyal people to reconsider. The weight of a federal indictment can crush even the hardest soldiers. As this case unfolds, one thing is becoming clear: the government isn't just going after Durk for one shooting. They're painting a picture of a multi-state criminal enterprise, with Lil Durk at the top. Even if some of the snitching rumors prove false, the damage may already be done. In a world built on loyalty and secrecy, the mere suspicion of betrayal can destroy everything. This case could reshape the future of hip-hop, spark new debates about artistic freedom, and force an uncomfortable reckoning with the line between art and criminal behavior. So, what's next? Will Lil Durk beat the feds and reclaim his crown, or will he become the latest in a growing list of rap icons brought down by the very street code they once lived by? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: this story is far from over.